Thing again, I'm trying to lay low on J.R. Smith. It's such a layup that I'm trying to approach it a little differently. Maybe I'm trying too hard. Here's the other thing that we have to take care of now in sports. It's gotten away from us, and it's a major problem. And it's in all sports. It's not just in this one. And the NBA has got a major problem with it, and it's just the way it is. There's too much technology in sports. I mean, in baseball, there's a play at first base in the first inning. By a half a step, we spend 20 minutes looking at replay. There's a play in football. Kid gets his feet in bounds. First 3 minutes of the game, we take 20 minutes to go to the video and see if his feet are in bounds on a catch. I mean, it really. And then last night we go out there and we waste about a half hour at midnight, no less, on two sequences which we should not have been spending any time on. And I did not know. I certainly knew about the feet in the circle rule with the charge block. I did not realize in the last couple minutes. Kerr said he had seen it once or twice. I did not realize, or if I did, it didn't dawn on me at the time. Maybe vaguely now I remember it, but at the time I don't remember that. I did not realize that they had the option there to go out there and change the call. And the fact that the NBA gave the officials, they have enough issues. The fact that they gave the officials the option to add technology to a judgment call on a Durant charge or block, 36 seconds to go, 2-point lead Cavs. The fact that they have done that in the last couple of years is a mind-bogglingly mistake. Could you imagine the NFL allowed you in the last 5 minutes to decide if it's pass interference or not? On these judgment calls, we'd be sitting here all night watching these NFL games conclude. I mean, the fact that we gave Maurer, Brothers, and Malloy, the three officials, the opportunity to go back and look at the video for about a half hour to decide what I'm kidding, but you get the thought, to decide whether a bang play, and you can get 50 guys that tell you it was a charge and 50 guys who tell you it was a block. For the record, I'll probably say block if you made me decide, but I'm not going to tell you one way or the other. It's declarative, no matter what it might be, or definitive in any scenario. But the idea now that the NBA has given the officials the right to overturn a judgment call, now was it in the last 2 minutes of a game in the fourth quarter, is I can understand foot. You can make sure you guys see where the feet are. Even that's too much for me. But because it's replay, and replay has gotten involved and has intruded and has killed sports. But if on television specifically, if you imagine sitting in the arena, you never get home, you're half asleep. I mean, the idea now that we are going to allow Maurer and Brothers to go to a video with 36 seconds to go in game one of the final to overturn a judgment call, which is not. There's nothing definitive there as far as if it's a charge or a block, and you give them the right to overturn it is unbelievably short-sighted. And the Board of Governors, and they make the rules, and the commissioners should be ashamed of themselves that they have made the game actually more complicated than it needs to be. The NBA is so complicated as it is with these officials, with calls late in games, if it's a foul, not a foul, ball gets knocked out of bounds, whose hand is it off? I mean, my God almighty. There is so much stuff that we have to concentrate on in the last minute and a half. So now we're going to sit there and we're going to put more cloudiness into the equation, and we're going to let the three officials get a headset on when everybody's standing there waiting for a half hour to talk to, Chelsea Peer or Secaucus to find out, Chelsea Peer's with the MLB, to find out where, in fact, if this call is the right call or not the right call, should we change it, is just absolutely absurd. I mean, that is the dumbest thing. I cannot believe, and I understand that we are a slave to technology. I get that. I mean, I really understand it. We got all the technology in front of us, and the God forbid that we watch a game and, we have the result be, the wrong result based on technology that we see at the time. And I guess teams and sports leagues just, they are scared stiff that they're going to have an outcome, sort of like Don Deckinger with Kansas City and St. Louis in 1985. Well, that's sports, for crying out loud. That's what sports is. There's a human element to it. And if you're good enough, the Cardinals were not in 85 against Kansas City. If you're good enough to overcome it, you will overcome it. If Cleveland makes a free throw, or if JR doesn't have a brain lock, they overcome it. They were not good enough. Simple. But instead, we give this technology tool to an NBA official who then's going to sit there in the last 2 minutes of a tight game, constantly go to that video. It's way overdone. And the NBA has done a horrendous job of allowing, and I didn't even know, you never see that anyway in the regular season. Who's sitting there watching NBA games in the regular season when that call happens to come up in that kind of spot? But so I haven't seen it like I saw it last night. But the idea that the NBA has given the officials the right to overturn a judgment call at the end of a big game based on just, well, you know what, I think it's a block. No, I think it's a charge. You know what? Let's go to the video and we'll flip a coin. And that's exactly what Maurer and Brothers did. And I am flabbergasted that the NBA has done that. And what they do is they mar a good game. And instead of talking about LeBron's 51 and all the things that went in this game, we're sitting here discussing today the idea that Maurer and Brothers decided to overturn a judgment call that is bang, bang. I mean, really strange. And I'll tell you something else. Let me tell you one other thing, if I may. What an absolute joke it is that Brothers decides, and then we got to sit there at midnight, half asleep on the East Coast. Then we got to let Brothers sit there and be tough referee and decide whether Tristan Thompson committed a flagrant foul or not when the game is over. Which then, of course, results in major issues with that jerk Draymond Green, who, by the way, is unroot. You can't root for him. He is unrootable. You cannot root for him under any. He'd be the last best. He's the last guy on the earth I'm going to ever root for. I mean, and then I got to sit there and I got to watch Thompson, who, listen, did he go after Livingston? Could he let it go? Yes, but Livingston didn't have to shoot it either. And then I got Brothers who sits there and thinks that Thompson committed a flagrant 2, which is an absurd call, which it wasn't. So we got to go back to the video. And then I got to wait 45 more minutes for LeBron to come out and tell me what he thinks. I mean, really bad. And the NBA can sit there and they can, wax poetic on the excitement of the game, which it was. They can wax poetic on a rating. I'd be shocked if they didn't do well. All those things. But I tell you, the biggest issue I have with the game last night, and JR, listen, have we ever seen, JR's a dope. Is anybody surprised? He's an absolute dope. This is what you get when you get a guy like JR on your team. Is anybody anywhere in America surprised that JR didn't know the score? If you are surprised, you haven't followed J.R. Smith. And I followed him since Lakewood High School way back in Jersey 20 years ago. Go down to that high school there in Lakewood. You see his banners all over the place. I've been there a million times. But is anybody anywhere surprised that J.R. is a dope? Anybody. And somehow he forgot the score. And then he was so embarrassed by it, told us in the postgame, well, I knew the score. I knew we were ahead. No, you didn't know you were ahead, you idiot. You had no idea. But I am really. This is a bigger picture argument than just what Game 1 is about. But I understand with technology, the whole world's going to see a bad call if it's not changed. I understand that. And a championship could be once in a while, changed, and the wrong team could win in a huge spot if, in fact, they don't use replay. I get that to a degree. But I'm telling you right now, I'd almost rather have that than what I got to deal with here today in sports. I mean, it really is a major thorn. And then if you compound your problem by what Silver and the Board of Governors did, you deserve what you got last night, which is a fallacy, which is a farce at the end of that game. A farce. You deserve it. You deserve it. Now, let's not, and give Chauncey Billups credit for this, let's not, let us, because he said it in the postgame, let us not take George Hill off the hook, all right? The guy's been around a long time. I mean, he was traded, to add some veteran guidance. He's an 81% free throw shooter. He has essentially, outside of a couple of moments at home against Boston, he has essentially done not a whole hell of a lot in the postseason. Let's be fair. Can he make 2 free throws with 4.7 seconds to go in this game? Is that asking too much? He's a professional basketball player who, if he doesn't make his free throws, shouldn't be in the league because he's not a big-time player. Can he sit there and can he knock down a couple of free throws at the end of this game? And, JR's stupidity basically bailed him out. Because he's got to make that second free throw. That's what championship games are all about. You got to knock down that free throw. He's not going to do a whole hell of a lot else in the game. So if he doesn't make the free throws, why the hell have him out there? Last night, George Hill played 38 minutes. He took 10 shots. He made 3 of them. He made a couple threes. He took 6. He played 31 minutes. I was looking at JR's numbers. He played 31 minutes. He took 6 shots. He made 2 of them. He had 2 rebounds, 5 personals. He had 1 steal and 1 assist. Is it asking too much? That's not a whole hell of a lot in 31 minutes of play. Is it asking too much that George Hill go out there and knock down a couple of free throws with 4 seconds to go in an NBA Finals game in Game 1? And the other thing about this game that is the oddest thing is I thought the game for basically 47 minutes was officiated very, very well. I did not notice them. I did not think they made bad calls. I thought that they stayed out of the way, let them play. I thought all 3 of them did a good job for the first 46, 47 minutes. And then it was a train wreck, including early in overtime when they caught a foul on Hill on a steal, which I did not understand. I thought from that which obviously got Golden State off and running. I obviously thought they did a pretty good job. But what prompted Maurer and Brothers to go to the scorer's table and to change what was a very, very tricky charge or blocking call with 36 seconds to go on a bang-bang play, I swear to God, I have no idea. None. 0. And I think everybody agrees. I think people have an opinion on what it was, but I think people, or sports fans nowadays, they're accustomed to only if it's overwhelming evidence. And the folks I have spoken to, 99% of them, have all said the same thing. All right, I might think it's a block, or you know what, I think it was whatever they might think. Especially a block, because that would constitute an overrule. They said there was not enough evidence to overturn. That is what the sports fan is saying across America today, and they can't be all wrong. And that's where Maurer and Brothers screwed up. And that is where the NBA screwed up, because in an impossible sport to officiate in, very difficult. I know a lot of NBA officials. They tell me all the same thing. It's a very difficult sport to officiate. It's almost impossible. And they gave them another tool. They need less tools, not more. There's an old adage with officials. There's an old adage. And this is Hall of Famers telling me this. There's an old adage. When you're an official in basketball, college or the NBA, your main job is not to foul up the game where the team that deserves to win loses. You want to walk out of that gym, no matter how bad you may have been. You want to walk out of that gym at least in your gut, knowing that the right team deserved to win the game. That is what a lot of veteran officials have told me. Chris, you know what? I may have had a bad night, but at least I didn't cost a team that should have won the game. Last night, you can make an argument that those officials cost the Cavaliers, who deserved to win, a chance to win the game. They would have had the ball up to 36 seconds left. They're going to win that game. A train wreck all the way around. Now, they will get a good rating for Game 2 because this is drama now, because they had a lot of controversy. LeBron has, the only guy who scored over 50 and lost 51 points in a finals game. There will be a lot of drama now and a lot of anticipation until Sunday night. So they will get a good rating Sunday night because people are going to be curious here. They're going to start their broadcast with a recap. They're going to draw people in on Sunday night. So Sunday night for Game 2 with all this chatter where the average fan is going to sit there and see this and hear about it, who may have seen a game. They've all seen the highlights now. They're all going to run to the TV set on Sunday night. So they're going to get a little carryover for Game 2. They're going to get a little carryover. The problem with it is if Golden State finally decides to play a crisp, clean game and not fought around, they're not going to have themselves a series. Because let's be honest. You'd have to be, I'm worried about Golden State, and I wouldn't put anything past them right now. But the logical, the sound play here from a talk show perspective is to say this. The Cavaliers threw out their best right hand and didn't knock Golden State down. They had their chance to win the game and didn't do it. That was their shot. 13,600,000 viewers last night. 14.8 on TNT for Monday night. 13 million last night. And it's on ABC, not TNT. Now, there's more competition. Thursday night TV, I'm not sure what was on. There's more competition. Monday night, it probably all reruns and all that's nonsense. I'm a little surprised. Plus, it went late. It's in overtime. The game ended, right around midnight. You would think they get another better rating than that. That's not, no, they're going to deny it, and you're going to hear them spin everything. Don't pay attention. Listen to me when it comes to this, okay? Don't buy the press release, and that's a bunch of garbage. If they had LeBron score over 50 in game one of the final on ABC, a network that went into overtime with controversy, they got to do better than 13 million people. Calls. Plenty of them to get to. It's your turn now. I babbled enough. I gave you a half hour, everything I got on game one. I'll save Zig for later. I can't do hockey now, Zig. Nobody cares about our Vegas and our Capitals game 3 or Snetsnoff, whatever his name is, if he's day to day. We'll do that a little later on. Let's do you here with you got a good report for us. You have been a phenomenal. You've done a great job. I got the riff-raff at 4:30, and I got the good stuff early. Gallerstein and you do a superb job. He's got the sports bite. We'll come right back to you here on Mad Dog Unleashed.